What's up, Knicks fans? We are back again for another season with our friends at FANATICS Sportsbook. And of course, that means we're talking about FANCASH. Now, most sportsbooks, their rewards are just fluff, but FANCASH is the ultimate sports currency. You see, when you bet with FANATICS Sportsbook, you get up to 10% FANCASH back on your wagers, win or lose. And did I mention that they're giving away millions in FANCASH this year? And you can use that FANCASH on anything in the FANATICS universe? Go check it out for yourself and download the app today. FANATICS Sportsbook. Winning hits different here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Knicks Film School Pregame Show. My name is Andrew Claudio. We are presented by the fine folks at FANATICS Sportsbook, and it is time to preview another Knicks matchup, this time on Friday night in Chicago against the Chicago Bulls in an NBA Cup matchup against the 4-0 red-hot Chicago Bulls to start the season. And on Sunday night at Madison Square Garden against the Chicago Bulls. That's right. This is a home and home, an old school home and home. Feels like the last couple times the Knicks have had back-to-back games against an opponent. It's been on the road or both at home. These little baseball series that the NBA has been trying to do, but an old school home and home against an old school rival, a team that I'll just be honest, didn't come into this season thinking they'd be anything more than a play-in team. They have some interesting pieces. They go 8 or 9 deep, and they are off to a 4-0 start. They have an opening night win against their old friend. I actually forget the order of how it went. I know they beat their old friends, DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, in a game against the Kings. And then 3 teams with high projections for this season, the Atlanta Hawks, the Orlando Magic, and Detroit Pistons. All impressive victories, and they're not doing it by just shooting the lights out. There are some guys on the team that are shooting well. 3rd in defensive rating coming into this game. We'll see how sustainable all of this is with an expert on the Chicago Bulls. Time to bring him in, a returning guest to the Knicks Film School pregame show, Jason Patt, editor-in-chief over at Clutch Point. Shout out to Chris Persianen, and of course the Cash Considerations podcast over on the Blue Wire Podcast Network. Jason, welcome back to Knicks Film School, sir.
Thank you for having me back. And yeah, certainly shocked to be talking about an undefeated Chicago Bulls team heading into this hot NBA Cup matchup. I always forget the NBA Cup starts so early as well, and it's Halloween night too. So maybe we'll get some spooky stuff going on at the United Center with Bulls Knicks.
Well, I should start here for Knicks fans. The Knicks are apparently going to go as a team with their full roster for Halloween. They're actually going to show up and have a healthy team as their costume, which has not been the case. Mitchell Robinson is apparently going to come to the United Center on Friday. Right. So here's the deal for any Knicks fan that missed it. Mitchell Robinson, who has just disappeared, literally like a ghost. He went as a ghost for Halloween and for the first 4 games of the season, was a full participant in practice on Thursday and is expected. He's a game time decision. It's Mitchell Robinson, so who knows what that decision is, but I'm expecting him to play. He is listed as questionable. Karl-Anthony Towns, a right quad strain, is still listed as probable. Deuce McBride returned from personal reasons. He was out for the past 2 games. He was back with the team and is expected to play. And for those, just to finish the housekeeping, Gershon Yabusele will most likely, he's upgraded to probable and most likely will play in this game. So you're getting the full complement of what was supposed to be a team that was contending for a championship this year in the New York Knicks. But maybe they're contending against the Chicago Bulls, who are off to this red-hot start. Josh Giddey is averaging a near triple-double. Kevin Huerter is doing stuff. Patrick Williams is doing stuff. Matas, my goodness, what a fun young player he is. Just talk to me. How are the vibes in Chicago at the moment?
The vibes, especially around the team, are great. Great chemistry. I think that definitely has played a role in their 4-0 start. They basically brought back the same team besides trading Lonzo Ball for Isaac Okoro and some end of the roster stuff. But for the most part, the rotation is almost identical besides the Okoro-Lonzo thing. And they built a lot of chemistry after the Zach trade. They finally have moved off all those guys besides Vooch. And I'm talking about guys who are killing it. Vooch is absolutely playing out of his mind. He's playing like he's 25 years old these days. But yeah, chemistry, that full buy-in into Billy Donovan's system, that the way they're just the fast pace, that's been it's their thing now, is they just push. And you mentioned the defensive stuff too. Yeah. 3rd in defensive rating is like the last thing that anybody expected where the Bulls would be after these 4 games. there are some underlying numbers behind that are buoying that what I would call it, if you want to call it luck. They are certainly playing, I believe, as well as they could defensively in terms of just like whatever the rotations. They're not making like huge mistakes. They're just like not getting burned all the time. They are allowing a league best or worst, however you want to look at it, like 25.9% from three, a ridiculously low number. No other team is below 30%. So nobody is hitting threes. This is something I've been following with them for a while too, because this even goes back to last year. Teams can't shoot threes against the Bulls apparently. And that's no different to start this year. So it'll be interesting to see. The Knicks have a decent amount of good shooters on the team. Will they be able to actually make their threes? I will say the Bulls have limited the opponent threes. They're only giving up, I think, 28 or 7 like 3-point attempts per game, which is super low. So teams have only made 7 threes against them per game. Again, that's like 3 threes fewer than like any other team. So they are doing a good job limiting. They are giving up plenty of shots at the rim, and the Kings killed them. You mentioned they beat the Kings. That was last night. The Kings killed them at the rim last night. So there are definitely ways to attack this defense. The Knicks have plenty of weapons that they could do it, but can they actually just make the shots? The Bulls, no one's making shots against the Bulls. So we'll see if that happens. But yeah, the vibes in the team are good. I think that a lot of fans are pleasantly surprised. Plenty of skepticism still. Like, can they keep this going? I'm certainly skeptical about it as well. Just my expectations. I do think were higher than like Vegas opened at like 32 wins. I hammered that over like immediately when I saw it, but still most people were like, oh yeah, like maybe mid 30s, high 30s, like maybe they could get to 500 and kind of just be in that mid play-in spot that they're always in like the last 3 years. The 4-0 start, and they beat some other good teams, Hawks, Pistons, Magic. Has, I think, some fans like thinking, no, maybe they can win 40 in the mid 40s. Like, could they even be better than that? We'll see. I believe Zach Lowe today on his pod they were talking and they were like, oh, maybe the Bulls could win 45 games. Maybe after rethinking how they look. Again, it's such a long season. We see teams get off to crazy starts all the time and then fade away. I don't think they're going to necessarily fade away. I think the way they play with their style and just like the chemistry they do have, the depth that they do have. You mentioned how deep they are, and they're doing this without Kobe White as well, and Zach Collins, who has played really well for them last year. So like the fact that they're doing this without Kobe, who's probably going to be their top scorer this year, is very impressive. So overall, yeah, vibes pretty good. Again, still kind of like I need to see a lot more to believe it, but so many guys on the roster are just playing out of their minds, and we'll talk about them.
So I love when I send the rundown to someone and they answer the next question with their first question, because I was going to ask you about sustainable things, and I was going to bring up the 3-point attempt number. And so that, as Jason said, Knicks fans, the Bulls are allowing 27 3-pointers a game, 3-point attempts per game. Nobody in the league is averaging less than 30 beside the Chicago Bulls. The Orlando Magic are allowing 31, and then the Bulls are allowing 4 less. It's a bit of an anomaly in my mind, but I also just like want to see, watching this, if that's how they're defending. You mentioned the underlying luck that they might be getting, that they're only allowing they have one of the lowest percentages against as well. I will say
by far the lowest percentage.
Well, so like the Knicks are also in a bit of a shooting slump to start the season, but the Knicks are taking 44 threes a game, the third most in the NBA. And looking at what the Bulls' opponents have been so far, again, Sacramento, Detroit, and Orlando are in the bottom 10 in 3-point attempts per game. And I got to be honest, that 98 points by the Magic might be helping a lot of defensive ratings this season. It's just how the season has already started. I feel bad because I like Jamal Mosley, and I think he is already starting to feel a little heat on his seat, unfortunately.
I believe they did win tonight. I think I just saw.
They did. They beat the Charlotte Hornets.
They put up 123 points. Good for them. That is
so while the Magic will help some defensive ratings get better, the Hornets will help some offensive ratings get better throughout the season. Talk to me about the defense, specifically the 3-point defense. Do you attribute it to how they're guarding teams, or like, I'm just curious, like, are the Knicks in this new style offense going to struggle to get up threes on Friday night?
Yeah, I mean, like, because last year the Bulls gave up a ton of threes, but they were also, I think they gave up almost 40 a game. So like, it's been like a really big shift. So they clearly are making a concerted effort to defend 3-point line a little better. I feel like I saw some of the like, even from watching the games and looking at the stats, I thought I saw someone else talk about how their contest rate like isn't that great. So it's not like they're like all over the 3-point line, but clearly they are deterring threes. I do think the opponent factor does need to be taken into account here. With the Magic shot 3 of 24 from 3 in that game. I mean, that's ridiculous. Yeah. And like the Pistons aren't a great 3-point. Like they don't have Malik Beasley. Like Duncan Robinson had a brutal game that night. He went like 0 for 5. Again, Pistons had Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. last year. 2 big losses for their 3-point shooting.
They're two most, real quick. They're two most in 3-point makes last year. They lost both of them.
I mean, Beasley took like 10 a game. Yeah, Beasley took a ton of threes last year. I forgot.
Klay Thompson for 4 months. Yeah.
So I do think, again, some of it probably is the opponent just like not super high volume 3. I mean, even the Hawks, like Trae Young went 1 of 10 from 3 that game. And then like, there are other guys like aren't big shooters like Dyson and Jalen Johnson and like Richeche. Like those guys like aren't big 3-point shooters. So, and then the Kings roster is just a disaster with Russ and DeMar and Sabonis and Schroeder and Levine as a starting line. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. So I do think the Knicks should have an opportunity to probably get up more threes than teams have been getting up. But the Bulls, again, they have been doing a pretty good job, again, defending the perimeter as best as they could. Again, I do think there's absolutely a huge factor of luck going on. And I mentioned that the Bulls are giving up a ton of shots at the rim. So like instead of giving up the threes, they're giving up more shots at the rim. So the Knicks look to attack the rim. We know like Vooch isn't a good rim protector. The Bulls don't have that many great point of attack defenders, but again, they have been doing better than I thought. Like I know against the Kings last night, they just got roasted at the rim in the first half. Made some adjustments, and then the second half they did much better. Some of that might just be the Kings' dysfunction and them tiring out on the second of a back-to-back because they played the Oklahoma City Thunder the night before. But overall, again, the Bulls' defense just whatever you want to call it, luck, whatever you want to call it. Again, like they've played much better, and they have not been giving up open threes. Again, I think if the Knicks, will have more opportunities, or they should, just because again, the Bulls' defensive personnel should not be that of a third-rated defensive team, but I got to give Billy credit as well, and that's something he's consistently done with I would call below-average defensive personnel. Like even going back a couple of years, I think they were almost a top 5 defense maybe a few years ago. Maybe they were for like a decent portion of the season. And even going back, I think like after the trade deadline last year, I'm pretty sure they were pushing top 10. So like there's at least like a little like sample size of them being respectable on defense. And I think again, Billy deserves a lot of credit for getting them playing on a string, not blowing rotations all the time, to just make up for the personnel. Because when you have Vooch, Josh Giddey, like Trey Jones is only 6'1", and Trey Jones has been stealing the heck out of the ball, but still, I mean, he's 6'1", so he's super undersized. Modest is a pretty good defensive player, but he's still young. He still makes some mistakes. And then Isaac Okoro has, I think, been pretty solid defensively. That's kind of what he's known as being, but still, it's not like elite defensive personnel where you think like this team's going to be awesome. But again, they've been playing hard. I think they've been playing pretty smart. So, like I said, I think if you move the ball against them and you drive against them, you can drive for your own shots at the rim, maybe drive and kick. I think you can get some good looks and take advantage of these guys. But some of it's also, can they sustain it? Because again, we've seen teams go on surges against them, but then they kind of peter out. I know basketball is a game of runs, but the pace the Bulls play at. Can you keep up with that? And can you start shooting the ball? I know because that's been one of the other talking points about this defense is like, is the Bulls pace tiring teams out? And I think Billy was asked about it yesterday. I think even the Celtics guys were talking about it. Like, and they were like, maybe at the start of the year, like getting your legs under you need to do that first. But once you're kind of into it, you should be okay. So like, I don't know. That's definitely a talking point around the team though. It's like, the Bulls play so fast. They just push with that. Other teams, at the end of games, they just like don't have their legs anymore, and they shoot poorly. So will be something interesting to see as the season goes on. Like, can they sustain this defense? Are they going to be top 3? I mean, there's no way they're going to be a top 3 defense. I want to know, like, can they be a top half of the league defense? If they can be, and then their offense keeps like trending up and trending the way it's going with Kobe coming back, like maybe they could again just be a lot better than a lot of people thought.
So the sample size I'd go to. Obviously, they're 4-0 to start this year, and I put this in my notes when I did over-unders before the season and thinking about the Bulls. I tried to see how legitimate that 17-8 stretch to finish the season was. They had what would be the equivalent of the 8th best net rating during that time. a 117 offense, a 111 defense, which was 12th in both over the final 25 games. But they just shot the lights out the ball. Everybody, Kevin Huerter, Vooch, obviously Giddey, like everybody was just hitting from three.
Kobe was
stretch. Kobe White during that stretch was averaging 25 a game. Yep. And that's why I'm intrigued by this. This isn't an offensive juggernaut that's just gotten off to a hot start. Now, there are the other number that I wanted to point out, because you talked about them playing smarter, and it's not like we're past the Levine DeRozan days of a lot of isolation and a low assist percentage for the Bulls. They're third in assist percentage right now. Do you know they have two guys right now in the top 13 in assists per game? Do you know the other team that has two players in the top 13?
I do not.
The answer is the Los Angeles Lakers.
I was going to say,
Doncic and Austin
Reeves. Yeah, that would have been. I was trying to think like who has two like high level passing, because I know Reeves had 16 assists.
Right. So like, does Reeves even get there if Luka doesn't get hurt?
Right.
So they have really like a balanced attack between Trey Jones and what Giddey is off to, both averaging about 7.5 assists per game. And yeah, about 70% of the Bulls' points have been coming off of assists to start the season. So it sounds like they're sharing the ball, which, like you said, lends to the pace and catching teams off guard, and not battling against set defenses. Going into the season, I know we've talked about it a little bit, about like fans suddenly getting more excited about what this team could be, what Zach Lowe said. Going into this year, what were your expectations? Like, what did you consider would be a successful season for the Chicago Bulls going into this year?
Before, I was basically like, I posted, I was like, I have like 3 goals for the Bulls season. Like, I want Modest to be awesome, and he has looked pretty good so far. Last night against the Kings, he was great. And then it was like, I either want them to be just awful because this draft looks great coming up, or like give me a real good surprise season. So like, I did not want another. But my prediction, like when I did like me and Ricky on Cash Considerations, we do our like, after the schedule comes out, we go through like, all right, game by game, how many wins? And I think we both came up like 36 or 37. Mm-hmm. I'm like, so yeah, and like I said, I smashed
only 36 or 37 when you went through the schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had 82 when I went through the Knicks schedule. It's weird how we differed in that. Interesting. Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I smashed the over on like the 32 because that was just so low. The way it's just knowing how the front office, they don't tank, they don't want to do it. They're going to try hard every night. They got a lot of depth. I'm like, they're not going to be that bad. But like last year, they had so much go right for them. So I'm like, I don't know if like there's some room for regression there. Modest is room for some positive regression. But so like ultimately, I was like, they'll probably end up again back in like the mid to high 30s. Maybe if things go right again, they end up around 500. So like now, I mean, you start 4-0 with some of these wins against like alleged Eastern Conference contending teams, and it's like, oh, like maybe they can be so much better. So like, if for me to consider this a success, I feel like they have to be in the top, like actually get into the playoffs and like ideally top 6. Like, I don't want to do another play-in tournament thing because we've seen how that's turned out, and then just like what they have, like if I want an actual surprise, like positive season, like yeah, give me 45 plus, give me like a 5 or 6 seed, which is probably like the ceiling that they have. Again, they've had so much go right for them these 4 games. Again, there's a lot of ways this could still turn around, but for the negative. But again, they do have all this depth, and they have Kobe White still coming back. So like, if they stay relatively healthy, and again, their chemistry is great, and they just keep kind of balling out like this. Again, if they can get into like the mid 40s and again get in actual playoffs and not deal with the play-in stuff again, I would consider that pretty successful. I know. Again, coming into the season, some fans were like, oh, if they're just going to be mid again, like, and then we talked about this on Cash Considerations too. My co-host Ricky O'Donnell was like, I got like with Kobe out, especially the tank thing in the back of your mind, because you look at this draft and there's Darren Peterson, there's Cameron Boozer, there's AJ DeBonsa. Like the Bulls don't have a legit star player. Like they'd just be better getting that guy. And I do think there is a world where that would be great. But again, if they're actually going to like be surprise and be good, again, we'll see if that's actually the case. Like, sure, go win 40s. Give us another playoff. It's been a while. They've had one actual playoff appearance since trading Jimmy Butler. So if they can actually get into the real playoffs, I don't know if they'd actually do anything in the playoffs. But the Eastern Conference is garbage. And like maybe they could have a chance to make some noise. I don't know. Like I said, I'm very skeptical about their playoff viability in terms of like if they got there just based on the roster, since they don't really have a star player, and I think they could be schemed. I mean, so much reason for skepticism is the Heat playing game. Like, they had the great stretch down the regular season, and then they get schemed up again by Spoelstra, and they get absolutely embarrassed. And it's like, oh, yep, there it is. Like, they had their Mickey Mouse March, but then in a game that actually mattered against a team that scouted them, they got absolutely punked. So, like, that is still always in the back of the mind here. I think with a lot of fans, like, oh, they can take advantage of these teams in the regular season when their pace and their play style and their depth can really, really matters. But then, if teams are really scouting them, they could get shut down. Again, that's a long ways away to have to worry about that kind of stuff in the playoffs. But again, it's still kind of in the back of the mind for everybody, I think.
So the starting five for Knicks fans who haven't watched any Bulls games yet is Josh Giddey, Tre Jones, Nikola Vucevic, and you mentioned it earlier. Vuce is shooting 58, 50, 100 on this season. Yeah. Those are his shooting splits at the moment. I will just preface with low volume on threes, only 3 a game, but that's 3.5 a game, which is still, like, he takes 4 threes. That's still a lot for a center when the team is going to take around 35 threes for the game. And then it's Isaac Okoro and then Baselis. Then you go Patrick Williams, Dosunmu, Kevin Huerter, and then how far deep do they go into the rotation?
Jalen Smith is probably like their 9th man, their backup center right now with Zach Collins out. I think when Collins comes back, he'll probably be the main backup center, but they might rotate here and there. Jalen Smith has basically been like one awful game, one pretty good game, one awful game, one pretty good game. He's very inconsistent, but they had available once Collins comes back. And then basically it's been like the 10th man has been a rotation of like Julian Phillips, Dalen Terry. Terry got the first crack at the 10th spot in the rotation, was pretty bad. Phillips has gotten some minutes here and there, but for right now it's basically been a 9-man rotation with a 10th guy who gets a few minutes thrown in there. Their first round rookie Noah Senge, I don't even think he's played yet at all because they've been in all pretty close games. So I do not think he's gotten in yet.
He hasn't. No,
that's what I thought. So like it's basically been like that top 9 and then either Dalen Terry or Julian Phillips.
So I might have lied earlier about the not off to these hot shooting starts from 3 because I'm realizing now Giddey's at 43%. Tre Jones only 2 a game, but is shooting 63% from 3. And then Dosunmu and Patrick Williams both at 50% on 4.5 attempts and 3.5 attempts.
So I was looking at this today, just like a true shooting, not the 3-point shooting, but the Bulls have 5 guys in the top 47, and I think Giddey is not one of those guys, but it's like Vooch, Tre Jones, Kevin Huerter, Patrick Williams, I assume are all like 65 plus true shooting. Modest is like 62. Giddey is a little lower because even though his 3-point shooting is good, like his 2-point percentage hasn't been very good. And his free throw shooting has just been okay. But still, Bulls have a lot of these role players shooting out of their minds. And I do think some of that's the play style. And Giddey is very good at setting these guys up with pushing the pace. Again, Tre Jones has been like an absolute revelation. Even Huerter, too. I mean, Huerter so far, he's shooting like 55% overall to start this season. He wasn't even shooting that great from 3, but like he's shooting great from 2 and he's getting to the line. I saw a stat, Kelly Dwyer on his blog today. It was like Kevin Huerter has taken almost as many free throws in these 4 games than he did like in 20 some games for the Bulls last. Kevin Huerter's been like a 1 free throw attempt like per game guy in his career, and he's at almost like 4. So like he's been really aggressive and finishing in the paint and getting fouls. You mentioned Tre Jones. Tre Jones has been a terrible shooter, in his like 3-point shooter in his career. Since he's come to the Bulls in the Zach LaVine trade, he's over 50%. Like you said, 60% this year. Basically the Zach LaVine trade of Tre Jones, Kevin Huerter, Zach Collins, obviously that now, but Collins was really good last year. So like those, they've been so good and like so much better than like Zach is a good player, but we kind of know what he is at this point, and like as an individual player and how he kind of fits into stuff. Like obviously he just hasn't won anything, and to get those 3 guys who were just kind of like cast-offs at that point, like Tre Jones was like an okay backup with the Spurs. Zach Collins was kind of a bust lottery pick, and then Huerter it was with the Hawks, and then he was with the Kings, and it was kind of awful with the Kings. All these guys have just found a great fit with this Bulls offense, and they've been killing it. I mean, Tre Jones and Kevin Huerter combined last night for like 29 points on like 70% shooting in the Zach LaVine game. So it's like, it's crazy the way some of these guys have been playing in this Bulls system.
Do you see them with all these role players performing and with, I mean, look, the top end talent is interesting because I think Giddey, if all breaks right, could make an all-star team in this conference. Obviously a larger sample size would have to be put together. My question is going to be about Reinsdorf and just like about ownership. do you see them making any type of like buy-in move? We've over the past years, it's why the show's called Cash Consideration.
Right.
It's been like they're not a team that will ever explore. I know the aprons make it so there's not as much of an incentive. It's almost like the second apron was like made for the Chicago Bulls.
Right.
Like, see, we can't spend that much. Why would we do such a thing?
I mean, the first apron, basically, the Bulls don't pay the luxury tax ever. Like, so they have to be championship contenders,
right?
Whatever that means. That nebulous,
my question: if you don't think they're going to tank and make a run at DeBanza or Darren Peterson or Cam Boozer, do you see them if we get to the All-Star break, or I guess the trade deadline, and they're hovering around a 6 seed? Do you think they'll be a little more aggressive this year and maybe make a move for a guy that has a big contract? But it would make the team better and potentially push them into like the guaranteed top 6.
They have so much expiring salary that they could, and they have some draft picks in the future. Like they've never really got what they got back for the guys that they traded away. I mean, they traded made a lot of 1-for-1 trades, and they've basically player only trades. They really don't have much extra draft capital, but they have not traded away draft capital. So like way in the future, they have most of their draft picks. They have all this expiring salary. So like theoretically, they could put together a decent package for somebody. Whether they actually do that, and AK is such a big continuity guy, and if they are playing really well and they like have this great chemistry, it would definitely have to be the right guy. Because they still obviously to win in the playoffs, they need higher end talent. Like whatever you want to like Giddey. I've never been a big Giddey guy. He's played a lot better than I expected, but still in the play, he's got to prove it in the playoffs as like a lead ball handler. Like, can he be that guy? And like Vooch is playing great right now. He's playing like superstar level impact, but Vooch is not going to be that guy in the playoffs. So like they absolutely need the high level impact guy. And like maybe Modest is that in a couple of years, but he's not that right now. So like for this season, like could they do that? Again, they could be in a position to do it. I don't know who would be for. If you look at guys who could be traded this year, like
Markkinen's the name, like Markkinen, or
bring him back. Like is Zion that guy?
Lauri Markkinen was a ball.
Yeah. Like would they do that though? Like I'm curious. Like because they have Modest there. I mean, I guess you could absolutely play Modest, Lowry, and whoever at center. The Jazz are doing that right now with Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkinen, and Kyle Filipowski. They're playing a bunch of giant white dudes in their front court. The Bulls should do that too.
Would it be like a Giddey replacement, like a 2-guard that just like a 2-guard that could potentially handle the ball?
Right. Yeah. Because like otherwise, like, I'm trying to think of who else could even like become like.
So if you want to go down the names of like guys that could become like pick a Pelican,
right? Like Zion. I mean, Zion's a name that's been out there, but like I don't think they would do that. Zion's got too many red flags. Like while he's very good, like is he going to be the guy you like go all in on for this?
Yeah.
Team? Like
I gotta be honest, Jason. The fact that there isn't a list or like names kind of tells me the answer, that there isn't anything in Bulls land right now that's like, hey, let's get good enough so ownership helps us go get Devin Booker. Like,
I was saying, I mean, Booker, would absolutely like think about it. Maybe
would, but there's no like the expectation around Chicago isn't any type of.
And AK's been so brutal about like trades for so long. I feel like the initial like surge he made to get Lonzo and DeMar and Vooch, like they went 3 years without like making a player trade. And then obviously they've been selling guys off with the trades they've made in the last couple of years. But like in terms of like an actual buy trade again, like they did for Vooch back 4 years ago. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like but you never know in the NBA when guys become available. Like you said, could Devin Booker says he wants to be like with the Suns his entire career. Like if that actually changed because they look like garbage, I mean, I would certainly consider him as an option. I would love let's see, maybe Ant will get annoyed with Rudy Gobert and Mike getting really old, and Ant becomes available at some point.
You and me both, sir. And I have the team. I have a team that's made every big move possible over the past 4 years.
Or just Giannis. Giannis can just travel.
Just Giannis.
I know the Knicks are the team, the Giannis team, but it's 2 hours down from Milwaukee. It'd be super easy.
There you go.
Just come to Chicago.
Better airport, probably more frequent flights to Greece. Why not?
Yeah.
Look, I am interested to see what the Bulls look like over the next 2 games. This 4-0 start was eye-popping, especially the teams that they played against, because I had high projections for the Hawks and for the Magic on the season. Did not have high projections for the Kings, so that went how I expected it might go. But it'll be up to the New York Knicks to ruin their undefeated season so far. Their chance at 82-0, which leads me to ask you about the Knicks and what you think about the moves they made this offseason. And by moves, I mean firing Tibbs. We're another franchise. It's what we have in common now, Jason. We fired Tom Thibodeau. The moves like with Yabusele and Jordan Clarkson. Just your thoughts on the Knicks and their championship chances now that they're post Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah, I mean Tibbs, God love him. And that's tough. You get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and what was it, 25 years?
25 years, yeah.
And I mean, the way they lost the series, I mean, just absolutely brutal. And then you get fired. I mean, the way the Bulls fired Thibodeau was ruthless. The statement that Jerry Reinsdorf put out after firing him was just classless garbage.
What was it?
I can't even remember what it was, but it's like infamous for just like, it was so like short and terse. Basically just like not crediting for anything. And that's, I mean, the Tibbs era was basically the best era of Bulls basketball since Michael Jordan. So like the fact that like it ended so poorly, I mean, and it's all out there. If you look back, like the feud between Tibbs and like John Paxson and Gar Forman, like they just didn't like each other. And I mean,
I knew. Yeah, like, he wasn't even, if from what I heard, you tell me if I'm right or not. It got so bad toward the end that he just went to work and hid in his office, and not in the like Tibbs with the Knicks stuff where he lived in his office crushing tape. It was like if the front office wanted to talk to him, they would put notes under the door. And
that sounds right. I'm pretty sure there's like a big like Woj story from back then that he reported about like that whole situation. I can't remember who it was, but I remember there being like a whole kind of like tell-all report about just the feud there. Mm-hmm. And that sounds right. So like obviously Tibbs grates on you, and hurts a lot of the same stuff you hear. I mean, the rotation stuff, he doesn't play the bench enough. The offense is too rigid. He doesn't make the necessary adjustments. I get it all. Obviously, it's just such a tough look again when you get so close to the finals and the deepest you've been in so long. But I get it. Again, Tibbs has an expiration date, and if you feel that you've reached it, you make the move for Mike Brown. I mean, we'll see how that goes. Like, do I think Mike Brown's like a huge upgrade over Tibbs? I don't know. Tibbs is probably like a better overall coach, but again, sometimes you just need to make the move. If you think it's gone stale and you think you just can't get through the guys and get them any better, you try something else. So I ultimately understand it. I know I read some of the quotes that he was talked about feeling betrayed and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, again, all kind of familiar territory as noted here. In terms of their offseason stuff and how I think of the Knicks, I believe I did pick them to win the East this year. So I mean, just looking at the East, just the overall talent level, it should be them. Like the Cavs are obviously very good too, but like they've already got injury stuff and they haven't proved in the playoffs. The Cavs have been just playoff clunkers. And I know injuries have played a role in that, but they got to show it a lot more. And maybe Evan Mobley will finally step up. Maybe they'll be healthy, but I mean, I know Garland's been hurt already. He should be back pretty soon. But so like ultimately, like, I mean, them and with the Celtics out of the picture, with the Pacers out of the picture, I mean, who else in the East is really going to be like that big?
The Bulls.
The Bulls. We look at the Magic and they're off to a slow start. The Hawks I didn't really believe in as like I need to see it to believe it now. Trey's hurt already. So like, and they haven't looked that good either. Like their defense still isn't very good. And so it's the Knicks, man. Like they should do it. It should be them.
I appreciate that it's the Knicks. I also did. I mean, I picked them to make the finals before the season. I will say this, and with the Knicks just played them, and I've been very consistent about this during the pregame pods when I've talked about this with and it's ironic that the pods I've got to do was like the Knicks played the Cavs on opening night, so it's like which team should we be afraid of? If it's not each other
and Giannis. I mean, I guess I'm
telling you, like, man. Are we really sleeping on Giannis here? Because
the rest of that roster is just like
you're 100% right, but the only series the Knicks will play against, except for the Cavs, and I think it's a conversation between Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson. The only series that the Knicks will play where it is no question who the best player in the series is if they play the Bucks. And history tells me that means the Knicks shouldn't be so heavily favored in that series. I know what the last 2 seasons have been, really 3 seasons have been for the Bucks between losing in the first round. But 3 years ago, Giannis got hurt and Jimmy Butler became the best player in the series. 2 years ago, both Giannis and Dame got hurt, and last year Dame got hurt. So I guess the thought is like if Giannis just goes like 2000 Shaq this year and decides to win an MVP.
And he has looked ridiculous. He's looked ridiculous.
I'm putting it out there that I am flagging the Bucks as a team
that's
that
fair.
maybe
Giannis is so good, and like he does seem like, I mean, very obviously with all the rumors and all the Knicks rumors, and I mean, you could tell he was very emotional during that game, and the "this is my city" stuff, and then he shut down the trade rumors. Clearly, very motivated. Try to have a big season. I mean, maybe this actually will be it. Like maybe if they do flame out, maybe he actually will leave. So it's like, I'm leaving it all out there this season. And he just goes bonkers. The Bucks are actually beating the Warriors right now without
Giannis
in the fourth
As
quarter.
we're recording in the fourth quarter, the Bucks are winning.
But
I went and found the Jerry Reinsdorf statement about Tibbs, by the way. So the Chicago Bulls have a history of achieving great success on and off the court. These accomplishments have been possible because of an organizational culture where input from all parts of the organization are welcomed and valued. There has been a willingness to participate in a free flow of information, and there have been clear and consistent goals. While the head of each department of the organization must be free to make final decisions, I can't tell you how very similar this is to how things ended with the Knicks. There must be free and open interdepartmental discussion and consideration of everyone's ideas and opinions. These internal discussions must not be considered an invasion of turf and must remain private. Teams that consistently perform at the highest levels are able to come together and be unified across the organization. Staff, players, coaches, management, and ownership. When everyone is on the same page, trust development and teams trust develops and teams can grow and succeed together. Knicks fans, it happened 10 years ago in Chicago. The key word in the Knicks head coaching search was that they were looking for a more collaborative approach. And from what I heard was that it was basically Tibbs' way and all the nerds get to go away. And the nerds were just tired of Tibbs ignoring them. And were like, hey, you should probably change the lineup. You should probably not play Josh Hart as much. And he was like, go away, dork. And he was always able to say, like, scoreboard, look how far we keep going in the playoffs. That is amazing that I just read that's why things ended. That was Jerry Reinsdorf's final word. Like, I'm ready to have a more collaborative approach with my head coach going forward. Insane, Jason. Here's the other like line that we got. Please.
Gar Forman, he said, over the last 5 years, we have had some success with Tom as our head coach. They went to the East Conference Finals. They were in the playoffs like every year. Like they had a lot of way more success than the organization has had since Michael Jordan. But we've had some success with Tom as the head coach.
And it's the same thing with the Knicks. Like over the last 5 years, we had our franchise rejuvenated and turned around. It's why like the Knicks weren't bad last year. I will never say Tom Thibodeau's a bad coach. I don't think, obviously, Bulls fans will never say Tom Thibodeau's a bad coach. I mean, you tell me, do you think there's a ceiling on what you could be with Tom Thibodeau as your head coach? Because that's where I eventually landed on that. I like the floor that he created. The Knicks were a team.
Yeah, he's absolutely a floor raiser.
A floor.
Yes.
But like the ceiling just seemed like he pulled a rabbit out of his hat in the Boston series, and he absolutely outcoached Joe Mazzulla. And then you watched a team like the Pacers that were willing to get so creative with their roster, and Tibbs had like his one way and his 9 guys, or really his 7 guys. And even when he tried to pivot, like DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet found their way into the rotation, it was too little, too late.
Too late. Yeah. It's always hard to say, like, whatever, is there like a hard ceiling? Because obviously players is still such a big part of it. But yeah, I mean, Tibbs has always been pretty stubborn. Like you said, my way or the highway. And he's just always been kind of like that. So then you would prefer someone to be a bit more flexible. So yeah, like ultimately, like, is there kind of a ceiling, or at least it seems like there's kind of a ceiling and that there are other options. Again, and the Knicks and the Bulls both thought that way. Of course, again, the Bulls fired Tibbs and they hired Fred Hoiberg, and that was an absolute disaster. Yeah. So like sometimes the grass is not greener, but sometimes it is. And if you think the expiration date is hit and you got to move on, you got to move on. Again, the Knicks have done it, and we'll see if that works out for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as we wrap up this conversation, Jason, part of the reason why they moved on from Tom Thibodeau is because in game 1 of the conference finals against the Indiana Pacers, they had one of the most heartbreaking losses that every Knicks fan has ever experienced. And Bill Simmons calls this phenomenon that game. And I prefaced this to you beforehand. I'm going to ask you, what is that game for the Chicago Bulls? And you were like, can it be a positive connotation? Like, what is that game that I remember? It's like, oh, yeah, it's that game where Michael Jordan did this or Michael Jordan did that. And I was like, well, it's supposed to be a negative thing. And you're like, well, then I know what it is. It's a clear, very answer. And I was like, what game could it be? And then it clicked. So, Jason, what is that game for Chicago Bulls fans?
I mean, I would hope, we'll see if you got it right. I would guess that you did, but it is when Derrick Rose tore his ACL.
That's exactly that game. Yeah. Yes.
I will always remember where I was when that happened. I was watching the game in my parents' basement. That was like 2012, right out of college, living with my parents, watching the game in the basement. It was like a Sunday afternoon, I think, or maybe it was a Saturday. Maybe I don't even actually remember. It was one of the first days of the playoffs. They're up double digits in the last final minute against the Sixers as the 1 seed. That was the year before. They had lost to the LeBron Heatles in the conference finals. They signed Rip Hamilton, like, and they got the 1 seed again. And like, this is the year they're going to do it this year. And Rose had been hurt all year, but still, you go into those playoffs as the 1 seed, as this is the year we're going to beat LeBron and the big three Heat. And then you're up 12 or 10 or whatever it was in the final minute. And I mean, we talk about the Tibbs thing, like everyone was get Derrick off the court, get Derrick off the court, get your starters off the court. And he tears his ACL at the end of that game, and it changed the whole franchise. I mean, he lost, and his whole career too. He was obviously never the same after that. When he came back the next year, he tore his, I think, meniscus, and he was just never the same player again. And the franchise just changed. It just changed everything, and it's just a brutal memory of that. And that game will always, and it's always just the what if. Like, what if Derrick never tore his ACL? Could they have won that year? Like, would they have actually beat the Heat that year? I don't know, but sure would have loved to see them try and have those battles for years to come. And that was basically it. That was the effective end of the Rose era. And he came back a few times. They had their chances against the Cavs, LeBron and the Cavs in 2015. Derrick hit that game winner in 2015 playoffs. They took him to 6 games. There was the whole LeBron timeout fiasco with David Blatt, but still, it was just, there was never the same after that. And it was brutal. So that is definitely, for me, that game.
I think you hit on what the what if is, because I think for NBA history, it's Derrick Rose is the biggest what if, in my opinion. It's him or Grant Hill. And I know Brandon Roy gets brought up into this a lot as well. I guess Bill Walton, but Bill Walton won a championship. And again, it's Derrick Rose or Grant Hill.
He was the youngest MVP ever.
Grant Hill never got to the level that Derrick Rose was. Yeah.
Yeah. You could argue whether Derrick deserved that MVP, but he won that MVP that year. So youngest MVP ever, and his career just totally derailed by that. And championship window basically almost entirely shut because of it. So brutal stuff.
Well, so like you said, the window where I was going with it is that the what if isn't necessarily like a Derrick Rose what if for Bulls fans. And from my perspective, it's that the run then ends with his ACL, the following season. That was a very fun, outside looking in, they beat the Nets in the first round that first year in Brooklyn. And that was like a testament to Tibbs. And then the following year, Joakim Noah's finishing third in MVP. And he's just like finding other ways to be productive. And it's still not.
But you knew they were never going to win a title. They had no chance.
They weren't contenders anymore. Yeah,
they were. I was actually kind of like this year's team. I was kind of like thinking like those teams. Like, I could see them just being a pain in the ass in the regular season, winning 45. I think they won 48 that year in 2013, 2014 when Noah was third in MVP voting. They were like the 4 seed. They lost in 5 games to the Wizards in the first round, and they looked awful. Like, I was at Game 5 that year. I think they scored like 70 points. They just had no chance. They couldn't score they had a great roster of defensive players, but that was Jimmy's, I think, second year. I think it was a rookie that Nets series. And like, we got like the Nate Robinson game in the Nets series, but like the ceiling just wasn't there. They couldn't score enough in the playoffs, and like, they were a bunch of tryhards, and Tibbs had them playing defense like crazy, but we knew that they had no chance at a championship unless Derrick was there. And like I said, that last year of Tibbs, Derrick did come back and play most of the year, and that's kind of when Jimmy also broke out. But there was the whole like Jimmy Derrick like camps and feud there allegedly as well, and that was kind of that was it. And then Derrick got traded to the Knicks, right?
Yep, got traded to the Knicks.
Yeah, and then
Robin Lopez.
Yeah, that's right. So and that was that. So rough.
Want to hear something crazy? So we did for summer content this year at Knicks Film School. We did the top 25 Knicks of the past 25 seasons, and we spent like 6 weeks and counted all 25 down with an episode dedicated. Derrick Rose made the list. Nate Robinson made the list. Like both of these, like famous Chicago Bulls names. I know Nate Robinson like had some playoff moments with the Bulls, but like it's crazy how much is intertwined. Like Phil Jackson has found his way into the headlines in New York, feuding with Carmelo Anthony again.
I can't believe, like, I woke up the other day and I saw like that headline on whatever, New York Post or whoever posted it. I was like, Phil's still talking about this stuff. Yep. Why is this a thing? Why is Phil's coming out and talking about it? I'm like
the resident Melo stan at Knicks Film School, but I acknowledge his shortcomings. Like I actually do think if Phil in a vacuum, like had the conversation, like we probably can't win a championship if he's our best guy. Fine, you can feel that way. Yep. You know what you shouldn't do? Go trade for Derrick Rose and sign Joakim Noah and then sign Courtney Lee and put together the worst possible roster. Like, goodness, Phil, like this team had one solid star in Carmelo Anthony, which you gave him a max contract, and a no trade clause that you then through the media tried to get him to waive. Then the team was awful because you hired Derek Fisher as your head coach and they won 16 or 17 games. You got Kristaps Porzingis. Like you got the guy with the 4th pick overall. And then what was the last thing that you ever did as the Knicks head of basketball operations? You put him in trade rumors. This team was in disarray with no clear path the entire time you were in charge. And it was one of the best things that happened during a time where no good things happened to the Knicks when you left the organization.
God, I totally forgot about some of those Phil years. And I mean, the Noah contract. Love Joakim Noah for getting paid, but my goodness, what a horrible. And that was like immediately once that was signed. Done. Joe was cooked at the end of his Bulls tenure. So, and then, let's give him 4 years, whatever, $72 million. $72 million
for Joakim Noah. They ended up paying him for 6 years because they stretched the last 2 years of his contract.
Oh God, those are some
thanks, Phil.
Brutal years. I think, I mean, those years, what was that, late 2010? I mean, the Bulls, obviously, they traded Jimmy in 2017, and those like next few years, just that stretch for the Bulls and Knicks was just awful. Just like both teams, it was dreadful. Really, really bad.
Yeah. And ironically, like it went the other way where if we've talked about this, a lot of Bulls fans were like, man, we shouldn't have let go of Tibbs. The Knicks got Tibbs and it was like, great, we finally have Tibbs. Like we finally have a thing that raises our floor and we're not just like reaching out to mercenaries that take a check from Dolan. Like they actually
Derek Fisher too. I totally forgot that.
The Derek Fisher experience was not great, especially when who was he was the runner up to Phil Jackson's initial first choice, which was Steve Kerr. I wonder how his career turned out. Anyway, we've all since moved on, and now the Knicks are title contenders, and for right now, the Bulls are too because they have the best record in the NBA.
Top of the East, baby,
top of the East. An Eastern Conference Finals preview over these next 2 games on Halloween, which also will be at least an NBA Cup matchup on Friday night, and then of course on Sunday at the Garden. Jason, it's always good to see you and talk about the Chicago Bulls, albeit it's interesting circumstances. I can't wait to have you back on later in the season when we see what the Bulls record is then. And I'll be honest, we'll see what the Knicks record is at that time because vibes are not great in New York at the moment. That's for sure.
It's early. Overreaction season. I know.
Say that again. It's early. So a lot of Knicks fans hear it. It's early.
It's early.
Yeah.
Long season. You guys, what, 2-2? Is that what
2-2? Right now? They're not 0-4. Like they're learning a brand new system.
Could be a lot worse. Yeah, new system.
It could be. You could be the Orlando Magic. You really could be. It's so much worse.
I mean, the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, they lost Trae Young. So
that's the worst it could be. Is you could have a bad injury.
They're 2-3. They lost Trae Young for a while. I know like Cat's playing through this quad thing or whatever, but it seems like he should be all right. So again, if they're getting their full roster back, that will make tomorrow's game more interesting. These next couple games more interesting. So I mean this weekend, and then the Bulls in general, because they got the Knicks and they got like the Cavs. I think they got the Sixers coming up. This next couple weeks could be like a big are the Bulls actually for real starting with these couple games against the Knicks. Like if they get through this with a bunch more wins, like I think fans are really going to start hyping up the Bulls. And I don't know if I'm ready for that. It's been so long of just mediocre garbage ball and like nothing to be excited about. So if they win tomorrow night to go to 5-0 and against the Knicks, a title again, my Eastern Conference favorite, it'll be like, watch out, the Bulls are officially back and here we go. Like they're going to win 50 games and run through the East. But
I will start looking at Bulls futures on Fanatics Sportsbook to see if the odds are at least juicy enough for them to win the East. We'll see. I just realized now they don't play each other again until after the All-Star break. So that is, I'm booking you now to see what the Bulls record is at that point in the season. But Jason, it's always good to see you. It's always good to talk to you. Before you get out of here, please let the fine folks at home know where they can find you and all your work.
Yep. Mentioned Cash Considerations. It's me and Ricky O'Donnell talking about the Bulls. And then you mentioned clutchpoints.com as well. Go check that out. Our guy Chris covers the Knicks there, does some other stuff as well, does some reporting there. Good stuff from him. On social. I post most of my Bulls stuff on Blue Sky now. So I'm Bulls J on Blue Sky and my Bulls_J on Twitter. Don't post as much there. I still post my pod and I'll interact with some people there, but I think that's pretty much everything at this point.
I forgot to last question, 30 seconds or less. How are you enjoying the Michael Jordan interviews? If you want to call it that on NBC?
I mean, kind of fun. It's always fun to see Michael come out, and then I know like he was going on against load management yesterday, and it's like whatever. Like I get it. A lot of people hate load management. To a degree, I understand that as well. But I mean, everyone knew MJ was going to say that about load management. I mean, the guy who like never missed games and played 40 minutes a night, and it's Michael Jordan, super competitor. Like, not surprising. The Ryder Cup story was great. And also there was the clip about him talking about like Tirico was like, "Oh, you really like never picked up a basketball?" And MJ was just like, "Do you see a hoop here?"
Uh-huh.
No, I do not. I don't do it. So it's always fun to see MJ just come out and give his thoughts on stuff. Even and the load management stuff is definitely like old school timey stuff. Like whatever. I like seeing MJ talk. I'm wearing an MJ jersey right now, 1998 black old school MJ jersey. So
I'm wearing MJ sneakers. Now you can't see them at the moment. I'm wearing some threes. I will say, shout out to NBC for their marketing, because I thought what we were gonna get was like, let's check in with MJ at halftime.
Oh yeah, not like live stuff
of this upcoming game.
Yeah.
It would be like a conversation. No, they got 2 hours with him before the season, and they're going to stretch it out over 6 months. Bravo. We're going to be,
and he's going to make
April.
What? How much money is he going to make from this?
Millions of dollars, maybe tens of millions. We're going to be in mid-April. He's going to be in that chair wearing the same outfit, talking about something, because they planned out the entire year. The finals will be going on. And
hopefully they can get at least another recording with Tirico at some point.
Convinced. He's like, I'll give you 2 hours and you'll give me $200 million and people will eat it up. Because you know what I did? I was glued to my television for every word Michael Jordan said.
MJ talks, people listen, and that's. I mean, he's earned it. That's what you get for being. If not, he'll always be my GOAT, but at least
he's the GOAT.
One of the GOATs.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, always good to see you. Thank you for joining me, and thank you to everybody for tuning into another edition of the Knicks Film School Pregame Show. If you dug it, please like this video. Remember to subscribe. We're this close to 50K on YouTube. Knicks fans, please help us get there. If you're listening, please leave us a 5-star rating and a review. Follow us on all socials. We're posting clips, organic stuff on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, at Knick Film SKOOL. And if you're looking for bonus content, Jonathan Macri has a newsletter on Substack, and DJ Zulo and Benji Ritholtz have a bonus film work on Patreon. So check out the links in the description for that. I will be back on Monday because the Knicks have a back-to-back after the Bulls. They play the Washington Wizards on Monday. So I'll be back on Monday to preview that game. But until next time, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Happy Halloween, and I will speak with you soon. Peace.
Must be 21 or over. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Not available in all states. Terms apply. See Fanatics Sportsbook app.